and welcome once again to Let's Start Cooking. I'm Wayne, and on today's episode, call it an episode? I guess we'll call it an episode. Today we're gonna make Cantonese wonton. So it's not actually wonton soup we're making. You can add the chicken broth if you want to turn it into a soup, but we're gonna actually make the Cantonese wonton. And the first thing we're gonna start with is we're gonna start with a pork shoulder. And we just took it and we have about 18 ounces of it. And all we want to do with this is, now we're not going to mince this up because we don't want to, it's not like we're making the fish balls that they use. We want to have a little bit of texture to this. So what we want to do is we're just going to take it and we want something with some fat in it. We're just going to cut it into strips to start with. Because we just don't want really, really big chunks of pieces that we're trying to work with. So we're just going to strip this up. And once we get these strips cut, what we want to do then is we're going to take them and we're actually just going to cut them like this. And we're going to do this to the whole pork shoulder, but we just want to take them and we're going to, again, we're not going to mince them, but we're going to make it small enough that we have some texture. So once you get to this point, we're going to go again with it, and you can either cut it. I would not suggest putting this into a food processor. It's going to make it too small. But what you want to do is you're just going to chop this up. So we're going to get this whole thing done, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what it's going to look like. Once we get it chopped up to the consistency we have here, what we want to do is we're going to take this and we're going to put it in a bowl of water. Because what we want to do now is we want to rinse this. We're going to get anything else, any little bit of blood that might have been in it, or the proteins that we want to soak out of it. So we're just going to get this rinsed up just a little bit. We're going to let it sit. Going to mix it around for a little bit. And you'll see the water getting cloudy, and that's what we want to get rid of. We want to get rid of all that. So once we mix this up, we're going to take this, and we're just going to drain this, and we're going to let it drain on its own in either a colander, if you have a sieve, whatever you want to put it in. We're just going to let this drain on its own. And while this is draining, then we're going to start on our shrimp. So we'll let this drain, and we'll get our shrimp ready. While our pork is draining, what we're going to do now is we're going to take our shrimp, and I'm going to have all the ingredients in the description. But we're going to take our shrimp, and this is already peeled and deveined. And we're going to do the same thing that we did with our pork, we're going to do with our shrimp. You can either do it all in one big shot, like this, or you can take one individually if you want, but we want pieces that are about the size of the pork that we did. Again, we want a texture, but we don't want to make a mince out of this. So again, we'll get this chopped up. And these are raw. I'm not cooking these yet. And you can use chicken, you can use beef, you can use almost anything. You can even put mushrooms in it if you want to. We're just gonna stick with the basic. And once we get these cut up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add these to a bowl. That's about what we want. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add these to a bowl. And we're going to add cornstarch to this, because this is not only going to help hold everything together with the cornstarch, it's going to act for us and take some of this moisture off these shrimp. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our cornstarch and we're just going to put it on top of our shrimp. And we're going to mix this up for about 20 to 30 seconds. We want to make sure that everything gets coated. That's all. And this is, it's going to get really sticky. Like I said, it's going to act like a glue. But it is going to help to pull out some of that moisture. When our pork is draining and our shrimp are done, what we're going to do is we're going to take our scallions and we're just going to cut these the same way. We want everything about the same size. We don't want anything really big because this is all going to go together. And you can add as little or as much of this, again, like I said, as you want. You can put other ingredients that you like. You can even save some of this if you want for later on to garnish. But we're just going to put all this in, because this eventually is going to get all mixed together. But we're just going to put all this in, and we're going to mix this together. And what we're going to do after we get all this done, we're going to put this in the refrigerator, covered, for about 30 minutes. And we're going to let everything marinate together, but we're not going to mix it. We're going to keep them separate in the same bowl, in which I will show you as soon as we get this drained. So once our scallions are chopped, what we want to do with our pork is we want to push this as much as we can and try to drain this. You're not going to be able to get all the water out of it. But as you can see, as you do that, you see what you're getting, and that's what we're trying to get rid of. We just want to get rid of that pink liquid. So we're just going to push this down as best we can. Now that we have this done, what we're going to do is we're going to make the marinade now for our pork. Once our pork is drained, and as best we can, what we're going to do now is we're going to make a marinade, and we're going to let this sit in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our water, chicken stock, now we have salt, sugar, and pepper. We're just going to put that all in there. We have oyster sauce. And like I said, I do have all the ingredients. I'm going to have it in the description so you know exactly how much to use. And our cornstarch. And we're going to mix this together to get this all combined. And we're going to want to mix this for a good 20 to 30 seconds, if not longer, because we want to make sure this all gets combined together. So we're going to combine this, and once you get this to about this point, we've got it combined. And again, we're going to do it longer, but now that we have it here, we're going to add sesame seed oil. And we're going to mix that up. And we're going to want to mix this, like I said, for about 20 to 30 seconds. You can go longer. We just want to make sure that everything is nice and mixed. And you can see what this is going to do is it's also going to tenderize this meat. And once we get it to this point, and we know that we have it all mixed up and we have it mixed up well, we're going to come back to our shrimp. We've had this sitting for a little bit, and we have just a dash of pepper that we're going to add to our shrimp. Not much. We're just going to mix that in real quick. Just a little bit. Now what we want to do, we're going to put all this in the same bowl, but we're not going to mix this up. We want to keep these separate because we want that meat to marinate, and we don't want this to all get mixed in. So all we're going to do, we're going to pick a spot out in the bowl, and we're just going to take everything, and we're just going to lay the shrimp here. And we're going to take our scallions, and we're just going to lay them in another spot of the bowl, because we don't want to mix everything up yet. We want that meat to marinate, and we don't want to mix everything together yet. But we want everything in the bowl so everybody gets nice and happy. And what we're going to do with this now, we're going to cover this with plastic wrap, and we're going to put this in the refrigerator for 30 minutes, and that way we let everything get happy together in the bowl. So I'll see you in about 30 minutes. All right, it's been about 30 minutes. We've let this sit, and all we're going to do now is we're going to take the time, and we're going to unwrap this, and now we're going to mix everything together. We just wanted the meat to be able to marinate by itself before we mixed everything together. So now we're just going to mix this together. And we want to make sure we mix this up pretty well, because we want to make sure we get everything incorporated and everything has about the same amount all over. We don't want a big clump of shrimp on one side and none on the other. So we're just going to get all this broken up And again, you can add almost anything you want to this. If you don't want to use pork, you can use beef, chicken. If you don't want to use shrimp, you can always use something else. You can even add mushrooms to this if you want. Once we have this mixed up, what we're gonna do, we have wonton wrappers, and when you have these wrappers, you wanna make sure you cover them with a damp cloth because they will dry out very quickly. So as you use them, we're just gonna take one. They're very thin, so you just gotta be careful. And we're just gonna lay it in our hand and make sure, like I said, you cover it, because they will dry out and you're gonna have a lot of them to do. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna take a little bit, and you don't wanna overstuff these because they will break and they're gonna be a real pain trying to fold them up because they're not very big squares. So we're just gonna take a little bit, about a half a teaspoon is really all you want. Once we get it like that, we're just gonna take a little bit of water and we're just gonna go all around the edge. Just to wet the edges down because we want these to stick together. And we're just gonna take it now, we're just gonna fold this right over. Make sure that these are all stuck together. And like I said, you might have some moving around, but you just wanna push it back to the center. And we're just gonna take it like that, and we're gonna make sure we have everything sealed. And we're just gonna take these edges right here, and we're just gonna slowly just roll this over. As you can see, and we're just gonna take these edges and we're just gonna come right around and we're just gonna press these edges together. And then we're just gonna open these up a little bit. And like I said, you're not gonna get them, there's 100 ways that you can fold these. And that's all we're gonna do. And we're just gonna lay them on our tray. And we're gonna finish up folding these up so we get enough. And the good thing about these are you can make these ahead of time and freeze these, just like a pasta would. So we're gonna get all this made up while our water is starting to boil, and we'll get enough of these made up so we can go to our next step. Another way that you can do, like I said, there's many ways that you can do this, but another way you can do it, make it a little bit easier folding if you want to. I'm just gonna take this real quick, and we're just gonna wet these sides down. We're gonna fold this over in half, just like we did the last ones. Gonna make sure everything is sealed down. A little bit of water, just on the corners. And we're just gonna take these corners and we're just gonna fold them right over each other. And we're just gonna squeeze it. We're gonna take these and we're gonna put these in our boiling water, and just be careful because they are gonna be hot and we don't want to splash. But you don't want these to sit on the bottom. You want to get these in as quick as possible, and gently you want to stir these around because they will stick to the bottom of the pot, and if they do, they're going to break apart. So we're just going to move these around a little bit just so they move before we put the other ones in. And now what we want to do is when we boil these, when they float, that's going to tell you that they're done. So we're going to keep these moving gently. Because like I said, they will stick to the bottom, and once they stick, they'll fall apart on you. So you just want to gently keep these moving as you cook these. Once they float, all we're going to do is we're going to take them out of the water and we lay them on a tray. And we're just going to let them dry out a little bit, and all we have to do now is plate them. And we're going to add, maybe if you want a little bit of garnish, whatever you want to do. You can take a little bit of soy sauce now, and these are made for dipping if you want to dip them. So we're just going to cut into one, and I'll show you what the inside looks like. We're just going to cut one in half just so we can see what they look like inside. And as you can see, they're nice and cooked. Everything's in. And they're hot. Very good. They got a little bit of kick to them because we added some pepper. Now you don't have to add that much pepper if you don't want to. You can taste the scallions, they come out. The pork tastes really good, and you really get the taste of that sesame oil. So it's a little bit tedious putting them together, but you can make these, you can freeze these if you want and save them for later. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll like and share, and I hope you subscribe to our channel. And until we see you again, I hope you have a great day.